Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast with Ani and Brian. Join us as we explore the art and science of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools to strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional. Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you'll understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence. If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. This is episode number 3. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzakos. And this is where we help coaches and holistic practitioners help their clients access their complete human intelligence. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about that time that we spent $25,000 on 6 hours of self-development coaching. What do you think about that, Ani?
I thought we were crazy at the time.
Yeah. So the setup was that we were a part of a master, like a group, right? A small group mastermind that was going for a couple of years. We were actually a part of that program. It was really pretty cool. And it was coming to an end. And the coach that we were working with, you can kind of feel like the next level of ask coming, right? Because that program was coming to an end. And, you know, the coach is kind of looking around and go, how can I continue to engage with people? Keep helping them further. And at the last live event we were at as a part of that program, we got kind of called into the office.
Yeah, it was it lunchtime or just before lunchtime? It was at a break. And yeah, it was like, they want to see you in the other room.
That's what it was. They need to talk to you.
Yeah, they need. I thought I was in trouble.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought we had done something wrong, which isn't that's not us, right? We do our homework. We sit in the front row with our arms crossed and nod and raise our hand when we need to. But it felt like we were in trouble,
Yeah.
which wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
But we got taken into the other room, and the door was closed, and yeah, it felt like the principal's office.
Yeah, we get called in the principal's office. So it's the principal and his vice principal, if you will, his lead salesperson. And he gives us this invitation, and he says and I think this was really a telling moment for you, Ani, from when we've talked about this before, when he looked at you and he said, I want to help you build this thing.
Yeah, well, it was this moment where I really felt like somebody believed in us. And I thought, thank goodness somebody knows like what to tell us to do. And look, you really recognize that we have something to offer. It felt really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt great again to be seen and for someone we had worked with for, a couple of years already, who knew a little bit about more than a little bit about kind of what we did and how we operated in the world and understand the framework of learning. And so we get this invitation. And of course, the invitation then comes with a price tag of $25,000.
Yeah, which we didn't have. Full transparency.
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 maxed out credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had money in the bank. And as soon as we knew how much it was going to cost, we started to have thoughts about how it was either we were going to put this money towards this thing for our business and invest in this thing, or there was so much, we had little kids at the time. There was so much for us to do at the house, or, it was like, it was this idea of maybe it was taking away from something else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we could spend this $25,000 for this, or a year in college, or a new car. At that time, we probably could have bought a new car for $25,000. Not like that. Not like that anymore. Or put a roof on the house or do something. And it was kind of like, this is crazy talk. And so 2 things for me. I was taught that just spending that amount of money for something that wasn't absolutely necessary was just insane balls, right?
You don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that. And the other thing you don't do is you don't spend that much money if you don't have that much money. Yeah. And we didn't have that much. Not only did we not have that much money, we had no clue how we were going to get that much money. So we were kind of like, we were up against kind of this, what we talk about scotomas. We just could not see it, could not see how it was going to happen. And at the same time, the invitation was right there on the table, right in front of us. And what made it so, you already talked about this a little bit on it, but what made it so compelling for you? You felt like we were seen. what else was compelling for you to say, yes, I mean, we have to move forward with this?
Well, what were we gonna do? Say no?
Hmm.
I didn't feel like I felt like saying no would have been like giving up on ourselves
Hmm.
in front of other people,
Yeah.
which didn't feel good. I felt like saying no would have been saying no to our potential
Hmm.
and really what we had inside of us. But it took a tremendous leap of faith to even consider. And at that time, I think my belief system was, not just this and or kind of belief system, but or I'm sorry, the or kind of belief system, but also that there were a limited amount of resources, kind of
Hmm.
like you were saying.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the money. How we could get the money just none of it computed, I think.
Hmm.
But I wasn't going to say no because I wasn't going to be that kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it just occurred to me, Ani, actually, as you were talking, I just remembered this. We were in the first live event we did with this person was about 2 years, maybe 2+ years, maybe even 3 years before we had this offer. And we were actually offered that same thing at that first live event that we did with that person.
I don't even remember that.
And we said no.
Oh, did we?
We did.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, I do.
you
Yes, I
remember that
do.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in Montreal.
Yeah.
And we were offered the same exact thing. We were like, no, we're going to do it on our own.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And 3 years later, like, here's the interesting
That's
thing.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years
Yeah.
later.
We didn't. Yeah. It's funny because you think you can do it on your own.
Mhm.
But when somebody who's done what you want to do offers to help you and you say, I'm going to do it on my own, like the thing is, you just slow down time.
Mhm.
If you can even pull it off, it's going to take a long time to do it because you've got to figure out everything along the way. Whereas when you put yourself in a relationship with somebody who's done what you want to do,
Yeah.
they can help to shorten the time like dramatically.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think about now, like how much time we potentially lost in not
Yeah.
saying yes, right? So we lost like 3 years of potential growth of not saying yes. But let's back up again a second before we talk about the outcomes of the things. So here we are. We're back in that room being offered this opportunity. $25,000 is the price tag. And we couldn't even actually schedule this strategy day until we coughed up the $25,000.
Well,
Like he had to have
right.
it in his hands before we could even schedule it.
Right, but we were being asked to put down a deposit.
Yeah.
And at that time, what was the deposit?
Like 5,000.
Yeah, so like I said, we had maxed out credit cards. We didn't have the money in the bank. Well, or so we thought until they
Mhm.
said the deposit's $5,000. And then somewhere, like I don't remember which one of us, all of a sudden remembered we had one more credit card
Yeah.
and it had exactly $5,000 left on the credit limit. It was interesting, like you said, a scotoma because neither one of us remembered that
Right. Until right then.
until we were ready to sign on the dotted line. Because I remember what we said was, we want to say yes, but we literally have no money. But like we're like pen in hand kind of thing. And the thing is, we knew enough about the natural laws to know the money had to be there.
Mhm.
We just didn't know where it was. And so we actually did ask ourselves a different question. We must have, like, the money must be there. Where might it be? And one of us was like, oh, we have another credit card. And
Yeah.
there it was.
Yeah. And there it was. So we were able to make the deposit.
Yeah.
And so we started off on that journey and left that meeting to fly back home, trying to figure out, of course,
How the heck
how
we
the
were
heck
gonna
we were going to
fund
get
this
the
thing.
rest of that money, because again, we'd never planned for it, but we had a lot of faith, trust, and fire lit under our butt in order to kind of make it happen.
So we were trying really hard.
Mhm.
I mean, the payments were coming. And I remember I was just like muscling through this thing like crazy. And we had a payment, it was coming up, and it was that day, I
Mhm.
think, I think it was that day.
Yeah, that day. Yeah.
And we still had no idea what we were going to do. And I hear Brian call me down the hall. Oh my gosh, Ani, you've got to come see this. He had gotten an email from one of our credit card companies.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how this happened. They emailed him and said, hey, buddy, we know you have 3 credit cards. We know you have 3 maxed out credit cards, but we're going to increase your credit limit in the exact amount that we needed that day.
Yes, it was exactly what we needed.
It was so wild, and I think it was the first moment I really understood that the
Mm.
universe had my back.
Yeah. There's the saying that God meets you in the field. And that's kind of the same thing as universe has your back. It's when you are in action and in an inspired way and in a really sincere way, I think. We are sincerely doing everything that we could do. We are in action. We are also using all of our somatic tools to stay grounded, on purpose, connected, all those things. So we're doing a lot to keep moving this forward and really being in a way of faith. Not saying that I wasn't freaked out for much of that time too, but it's really managing those experiences that just kept us moving forward and staying alert to the continued opportunities of support that kept showing up for us along the way. Right.
Well, I think one of the things that is interesting for me is we talk about seeing reality in a new way,
Mm,
and somatics are such a powerful way to help us to be able to shift our reality so that we can see reality in a new way, because reality isn't what we see it to be. It's malleable.
mm, mm.
And so that in that moment I realized that I could see reality in a different way.
Yeah.
I could see reality in a way that the universe did have my back, that maybe what I desired or what I wanted and what I committed to was going to work, that maybe money does show up when I need it to.
Hmm.
And it was enough to make me question reality and wonder if it could be a different way. And through the process, the strategy day was great, by the way. And we'll talk about that, I guess. But the process for me, the process of getting to the
Yeah.
strategy day was just as important as the strategy day itself, because through the process of paying for it, to
Yep.
be honest with you, through the process of paying for it, I got to see and accept a completely different monetary reality.
Yeah, totally, totally. I think a big part of that too, as we've talked about before, Ani, is that how we were somewhere along that trajectory, that transition from the first day when we were like, oh my God, $25,000, we could buy a car, we could do our roof. So it's like, it was an either or sort of thing. Somewhere along the way, we started comparing differently. Instead of comparing the $25,000 to other things that we would have to give up in order to have the strategy day, what we started doing was actually comparing that $25,000 to the promise of what we could create beyond the strategy day.
Yeah.
So
Which was millions in
which
our
was
business.
millions of dollars. I mean, year over year over year, that was our anticipation
Right.
of doing the strategy day with this
And
person.
being able to continue to
Yeah.
create.
Right. Yeah. So $25,000 would be a drop in the bucket the following year compared to what we would have as an outcome of the information and the experience and the transformation that we would get as a part of the strategy day. And I think that's what a lot of people lose in understanding when we're making decisions like this. Because being asked to put down an amount of money, and we're like, oh my God, if I do this, I don't have that money. I don't know where it's going to come from. And I could do something else with it if I did have it.
Mhm.
And that's a way to keep us stuck for sure, to not change anything at all. But if we flip it and go, wait, this is an investment in my business, in my life, in my process, how whatever you want to think about it, but it's an investment that's going to yield larger returns on the other side. And when we did that, it seemed like the universe all of a sudden then kind of swept up behind us like a benevolent wind or something just behind our backs and started moving us forward where we couldn't see what was coming up. It almost didn't matter as much because things started showing up for us.
Yeah, I think that I was just listening to you talk, and some people are going to be like, why are you talking about this investment in money in terms of the somatic coaching? And the reality is, in terms of our self development, money touches
Mhm.
every area of our
Yeah.
lives.
Yep.
And a big part of what we work on with our students is their money consciousness, their abundance mindset, prosperity, and things like that. And yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, I got to spice up my self development. I thought that was funny because they didn't have kids, but also one of the ways that people do that is by doing work around money
Mhm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic way to grow ourselves. And this was a tremendous part of my self-development I mean, now I teach things that I experienced through this process, and we haven't even gotten to the stuff that we learned in the strategy day. And the strategy day was great. I remember there was really a really big takeaway, like one really big
Mhm.
takeaway that was at the end of the strategy day that literally was like domino effect to opening doors for
Mhm. Yeah.
years with us, cascading domino effect of expansion in our business and in our lives.
Yeah.
That one suggestion was well worth way more than
Yeah,
$25,000
absolutely.
over and over. I mean, how do you put a price on becoming a different person? How do you put a price on changing the way you look at something for the rest of your life? I will never approach money again like I did because of this experience.
Yeah. And I love what you're bringing up, Ani, that it's about the self-development journey of going from the signing of it to get to that strategy day was hugely transformational.
Yeah.
Just around understanding how the universe and money kind of work together. Because the thing we didn't say too is, remember, there's that last investment we had to make in it, and it was due at like midnight on a
Oh,
certain
yeah,
day.
right.
And we were like, oh my God, where's this going to come from? And it was literally the day of, and I think we had like $10,000 due left for that last final payment. And a client showed up
Yeah.
that, Ani, when you went through the enrollment conversation with this client, like, you really had to grow and expand tremendously. Like,
Yeah.
you really, I think, as far as when I think about you and your self-development journey, we've been together on this journey for a really long time. I see that as a like a
It's
pinnacle
pivotal.
moment for
Yeah.
you in your own self-development.
Yeah, I never went back from that. And again, you just can't. You, how do you put a price tag on those things? It was a day that I'll always remember. I learned how to, and I didn't just learn new skills, but I learned how to believe in myself
Mhm.
differently. And I'm just thinking about, when people join us at the academy for certification programs, we tell them the process of getting to the place where you're signing up. We take it with a lot of compassion, and like we totally have your backs around it. These are
Mhm.
worthy conversations that we have with our students, because like us, it helps us to get to that place, right? um but I know that I became a different person that day, and I'm happy with the person that I became, and I
Mm.
love to see that for our students too, because when they sign up for certification programs, there's tools they're going to learn,
Yeah.
but that's just a small part of it. It's who they become along the way that's really profound. And I think my favorite things that our students say at graduation are things about how proud they are of who they've become. And
Mm.
things like, I believe in myself now. I can be my best ally and advocate. And those things are they're priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. To really have that breadth of trust in themselves that
Yeah.
grows from one end to the other end. And it really is, again, this beautiful self development journey, cascading the whole arc of their experience. And people change really, really so much. And I love what you said, like that one key takeaway we got from that strategy day propelled us into places that I would never have
Never,
seen beforehand.
never could have seen.
And it's almost like the invisible hand of the universe was kind of guiding us along the way, but we still had to make our own decisions. Like, we still had to step into those kinds of things
Yeah.
to be able to move forward with that.
And really put our desires, like what we really wanted. We really wanted to grow this thing.
Yep.
That's what we really wanted. And it takes, I think it takes courage to get to the place where you can put your desires, out there, and trust in yourself enough to allow the universe to be that buoying force.
Yeah, totally. I think the hot tip, if we kind of had to kind of transition out of today's episode with a hot tip, for me, what really transformed was the idea of how we compare things, and overcoming or switching that mindset around, looking the other way on that, of like, I'm comparing the $25,000 to what I'm going to lose, rather than I'm comparing that $25,000 to what I'm going to gain on the other end. Completely turned us in a direction where the universe had our back, and we were able to keep moving forward. And I'll tell you, that hasn't been that was probably really one of the first times I think I really used that, but it has not been the last time. And I'd say that little hot tip tool has been an amazing thing to keep us moving forward in our business.
Yeah. And for me, it was this idea of it's not about or, it's about and.
Yeah.
It's about and. It's about being able to grow my business and my personal life. It's about self-development and professional development. It's that and. And there's always an and when we're looking at the natural laws. So, yeah, that's a really, really powerful lesson that we'll never go back from. And it's one of the reasons why we love to teach the natural laws to our students. So that is a big part of what you're going to get as you continue to learn with the Somatic Coaching Academy. We are so glad that you decided to join us for this episode.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself. Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.